Dr. Jillian Ney, we want to thank you for joining us today. And Khalil El Amin and I'm John Young. We're happy to have you today and to talk to you about social intelligence and what it means and how it works and how it can work for different organizations. But I think we should start with a little bit about you. If you could tell us a little bit about you. We know that you're the first doctor of social data. So tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about this new organization you founded called SI Lab.
Thanks, John and Khalil. No, thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. So a bit about me. I'm believed to be the first person with a PhD in social media and consumer behaviour in the UK. So I was based in the marketing department, but everything focused in on the data, the content that was being generated, and how we as people go and assess the credibility or the influence of that content that we find online and how it impacts our purchase decisions. So at the time, back in 2007, 2008, that was quite a radical thing to do. But now we always need to do it because we're trying to fight misinformation and disinformation. So it was slightly ahead of its time, I would say. But at the Social Intelligence Lab, we work with organizations of all sizes. We work with the people, the practitioners who are analyzing social data in organizations. So they may be agencies, they may be large enterprises. We've got a few kind of smaller companies and things like that, but they want to get value from social data. They want to be able to find insights about their consumers. They want to understand culture and people. They want to know more about their competitors. So we help to provide them with the frameworks and the models and also introduce them to the right partners to be able to make this happen for them. So we've been doing this for a while, and if we keep on saying we're almost at the time and it's going to turn and everybody's going to start using this stuff, I think we're there now. I think that due to the COVID-19, I think that social data was used by a lot more organizations to understand what was going on because we couldn't use traditional research methods. And I think this is only going to gain momentum. So I think that we're in a stage now where social data is starting to get taken seriously, properly for the first time. We've always said here at the Social Intelligence Lab that it takes a crisis for organizations to turn on to social data. And there was no bigger crisis than what happened last year. And we're going to start looking, it's not just about social data, but other conversational data sources. So they can come from anywhere as long as it's language data, to be able to understand people and what it is that they're trying to say and their behaviors and their attitudes and opinions. Social data is obviously a byproduct of people's social media engagement, and it can be from anything from Facebook and Twitter and all your big, large platforms, all the way down into these really niche community forums. And then you've got things like Reddit and things like that as well. So it's all of these online interactions that people are taking within their daily lives. What got me was the detail of the stories that people were telling through this. And it's not just about that one. I think when social listening came about, it was, let's figure out what the people are saying about us when we're not in the room. And you would get that one little bit of statement that someone has said, but you wouldn't go and see the conversation that happened after that was made. And that's where my work focused on originally when I was doing a lot of this, was understanding those conversations. And it's that richness of the conversations and how people are talking and engaging with each other that I think is what social intelligence is. So for me, social listening, it's about the monitoring and listening into the conversations that are happening. So it might be about a brand, it might be about subject area or a hashtag or just whatever it is that you want to try and find out about. People will look at that. What we found when we've been creating our maturity model is these folks will tend to be led by what the functionality and the analysis features of the social listening platforms is that they're using. So they'll use those to guide how it is that they look at the data. So a lot of these things, they tend to look at things that are based on volume. So, but volume is great when you're looking for a marketing campaign and to understand the success of that campaign or hashtag, totally into that. But if you want to understand how someone is behaving or how they feel about a particular topic, these volumes that's not the way that you want to analyze the data. So we hear people say, let's do some social listening because they've maybe got some volume-based stuff that then help them organize so a little bit of language, how people are speaking about a topic, or to think about the hashtags and things like that they need to use. They've not really flipped it over into this intelligence piece where we're actually looking to guide strategy, and it's about the strategic use of social data alongside other data sources and research sources to come and answer a specific problem. So there's also this education piece. People hear about social listening. They probably get called about 20 times a day by social listening providers saying we're the best thing ever. So it's on their mind, but they just don't know quite what they can do with it yet. Yeah. So there's that education piece that needs to happen, so we can get more strategic with that. My background is obviously I'm a researcher, so I would always say I get into the insights department more. With social listening being this one of these do-it-yourself, so it's this DIY research, and you can come in and you can get this insight and you can go and use it. It started to hit the marketing functions, the PR functions, as well as the insight functions. But what we've seen, and from what we've heard from interviewing loads of different people, is that there tends to be a couple of different ways that social listening, social intelligence, social insight, whatever you want to call it, gets into organizations. And it's either the marketing department or it's the insights function. So what we've found out though, is in my head, I thought if it was insights that was generating this, then the insight would go across the organization quicker. But it's actually the marketing function that's more able to get the rest of the organization on board with social intelligence than what the research and insights function is. So they're doing great work there. The insights folks tend to try and keep the insights to themselves because it's their knowledge kind of thing. So marketing's more easily ready to spread it out there. So I dare say that there is some research departments out there that are doing some work in this that are just maybe not sharing those insights as readily as what the marketing departments are. And then we find a lot of comms departments and also innovation functions are using social data as well. Yeah, no, this is a great question, Khalil. For me, it would be going and sitting down with it depends on how small the company is. So we've got like micro companies, and then we've got SMEs, which is what, about 250 people in them. So go and speak to the management and figure out what's their burning questions that they need to be able to get answered. Where is it that they're looking for some support? And then go in and look at the data and try and answer these questions with social data as a form of market research. So it may be something that's for the marketing teams. It may be something that's for a director. It may be something that's for HR. It could be something that's to do with product or brand. So there's lots of different ways, and it's starting and finding that first one question that you need to go in and have a look at. So it doesn't always necessarily need to be about your marketing communication. It could be something completely different.
What are some of the other the biggest hurdles that you think some organizations can be having when it comes to getting buy-in for social intelligence and getting the right people in place to kind of do this type of work?
So it obviously depends on the organization and where the person who's trying to get this into the organization sits. So if they're in marketing, or if they're in PR, or if they're in research and insight, or wherever it is, they'll come out, the way that they'll think about social intelligence may differ slightly. And then that communication it can be difficult to get the rest of the organization bought in, because some people, if they're in marketing, might say, I don't really care how many likes and shares we've had. I'm not into that. We don't need to know that. It's not really impacting our business value. So to be able to help people and understand this, we have been working with a couple of folks, and we've been building out a maturity model to see where people, eventually we'll make it into a diagnostic, so people can take it and they can say, oh, so we're here, and this is where we're at with this. We know that then 70% of other organizations are here, but this is how we can progress. What we've also been doing is working with a research company called Listen and Learn Research. So they're specialists in social data analysis. And we've been looking to try and reshape the communication around social intelligence. So instead of it being, we're doing this to find influencers or hashtags, we've been starting to build everything up and relate it to business outcomes. So when we go to our senior leadership, we can talk more confidently around what it is that we're doing, rather than that one little case, that use case that's really important to us, but actually our boss doesn't really care about it because they don't see, he or she doesn't see how it's going to make them more money or become more efficient, because ultimately that's their goal.
So today we've been talking with Dr. Jillian Ney in the UK, and she is the founder of SI Lab, which is Social Intelligence Lab, and she's working with thought leaders in the areas of social intelligence and analytics all over the world. So from John Young and Khalil El-Amin, we want to thank you for joining us. And Jillian, thank you again so much for your time and your sharing your expertise.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.